Hey everybody. Well, finally, after 4 months, welcome to part 10 of building the Enterprise D from Eaglemoss and Hero Collector. So, as I mentioned in the previous video for this build series, I have had problems after problems getting parts for this model. As you can see now, I've got a ton of parts and a lot of catching up to do on this. Now, the main culprit here is this right here. Stage 35. This one here is the one that held me up for 4 months. And the reason is because I got some very bad information from two different Eaglemoss customer service representatives on the phone. They gave me the wrong information, which resulted in this stage getting skipped. And so because it got skipped, it also knocked everything else out of order, out of sequence, the way they were delivering all this stuff. So I had to wait for 4 months for them to send me 35. 36 here was out of stock for about 2.5 months. It took me 2.5 months to get that one. Stage 45, where is it? It's up right here. Stage 45 right there. This one was out of stock for about 3 weeks. And then they sent me 2 stages of 39 by mistake. They sent me 2 magazines of 11 by mistake. It just took me forever. This has been a comedy of errors getting these parts, and I just can't believe all the problems I've had. I honestly just about canceled this whole model, the whole subscription, and pitched all of it in the trash. I mean, that's how over it I was. But finally, after all this time, they sent me 35, and it was out of sequence, so I had 35, 44, 45, and 46 up there. And then magazine 10 I never got. So I finally got magazine 10. So I think we are finally back on track. But in the meantime, while I am going to focus on stages 35 here, 36, and then 37, and then 38. We're going to be focusing on that in this video. But there are some things that I need to discuss before we get started. And by the way, I still have all these parts. These panels have been sitting here for months with no place to go. So I got to work on this as well. Okay, so now one good thing that came out of all these delays is I have seen that there are people having a lot of problems involving the panels that go, I think, in this part and over here, somewhere in this section. And that is because in magazine 10 right here, now I don't know why Eaglemoss has you do this, and there's a lot of things about this build that just makes me roll my eyes. I mean, this is another example. So as you can see here, they have us start putting panels on this part right here. Now, if you flip over the saucer, you put them right here. So you're putting these panels on right here first. And then at about stage 42 is when you come over here and start putting these panels on. Well, now you're trying to squeeze these panels between these ones here and the ones you've got built over here. And everybody's having a hard time getting these in here. So they're having to push and shove the piece in there, the pieces. They're having to unscrew these panels to get it to fit, and now the windows are falling out, the lights are falling out. Same with this side. Some people, I think, have actually bent the frame a little bit, or the panels aren't fitting in correctly. So I am not going to put myself through that. I am absolutely not going to put myself through that. So what I'm going to do is on stage 35, which we will be normally building on this video, I'm going to skip all of this. We're going to come back to this later. So when I get to stage 42, which I already have the parts, it's up there, it'll be in the next video. It'll be part 11 of this build series. And so I'm going to wait to put all of this on until we get to stage 42 when we get these panels built. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two on first, which would be like the end pieces. And then we'll put that metal piece on, which I think that's the main one that everybody's having problems with. And then we'll come back to magazine number 10, and then we'll put all these on. That's the way to do it. That's the way we should have been doing it. As with the rest of this, we've been building this in sequence around the saucer. I do not know why Eaglemoss had us skip that part. Why did they do that? I honestly feel like they screwed up right there, and everybody's having problems with that. So to avoid that, I'm going to deviate from the instructions for a little while. At this point in the build, I have to honestly wonder, did anybody at Eaglemoss even put this model together before they even put it out on the market? I mean, if they had built this thing, they would have known that they shouldn't do these parts first. You should do the other ones first. And just other things about this kit, like the light leaks in between the panels, the light leaks in the windows, parts that are kind of not fitting perfectly, the over-engineering of all the lighting and windows. I mean, you got to wonder if anybody even put this thing together at Eagle Moss at all. And I mean, if you look at the model here on these magazines, that's the prototype. It doesn't even have any lit windows. In fact, it looks like they're just blacked out or hollow. So whoever built this prototype didn't even have to fight with all the lighting. And so anyway, just another example of why this model has become so frustrating. And I will say this much, if I can ever get this thing completely finished with all the problems and delays, I'm going to do a full review of this model, and trust me, I'm going to have a lot to say. Because, I don't know, at this point, I've kind of really lost my enthusiasm for building this thing. And I don't blame the delays on Eagle Moss. I realize that there's a global shipping issue, and especially here in the US, we've been having a lot of problems. I don't blame them for that. But the mistakes that were made with stage 35 over there, I've had a couple parts that were actually mismolded and had to get those replaced. And just the overall, lack of follow through with the way this thing goes together, that is definitely something I hold Eagle Moss responsible for. But anyway, now I'm going to get off my soapbox, stop complaining, and get back to work on this. Here is magazine 10 for these parts. So just kind of go through this real quickly. It just shows you the parts that you get for each stage, and then you start assembling it. I'm going to go back to work on this neck. I think we're going to finally finish that neck here pretty soon. And more windows, more panels. Oh gosh, like I mentioned, we are skipping this part until stage 42. Yeah, we may not have to do too much on this, only because I will be skipping that part. When we get to 42, that's going to be a lot more stuff to do there. More panels. Let's see, I'm not sure. I'll have to see where we're at on the saucer for that, if we're going to put anything on there. I have so many panels to put on this thing, it's crazy. Now see, here, we're going to put these panels on first, and that's how the other side should have been done. So we're going to put those on, and then I think the metal one goes in here, and that's how you should be doing it. I don't know why they deviated from that on the other side. So we can at least put those panels on. More work on the neck. And then back to the episodes here. Pen Pals, I love that episode. That was really cool, where Data inadvertently befriended this little girl. Her world was being destroyed, and they helped her out. Q Who, all the Q episodes are always good. As loathsome as Q can be. Oh, some early drafts of what the Borg were going to look like. Some behind-the-scenes stuff there. And, oh, this is really cool. Look at that. That is a cutaway of when the Borg cut out a big chunk of the saucer from the Enterprise. You can actually see there's furniture in here, the different levels. They made it out of all kinds of materials, cardstock and foam board and stuff like that. But hopefully I'm not getting a reflection on there, but you can really see it right there. That's really neat. I love the model work. They even have a bit of the Enterprise insignia up there. And, oh, that was cool. That was the Samaritan Snare episode with the pack leads. Those guys were pretty funny. Early rendition of what their makeup was going to look like. And Up the Long Ladder. Oh, yeah, that's right. This one, oh, I thought that came earlier. This guy was hilarious in that episode. He was absolutely hilarious. And then the Lwaxana Troi episode, which I always love when she's on there. This is cool. These aliens, I can't remember their name, but that was Mick Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac. Guess he was a big Star Trek fan, so that's really cool that they let him have a part as an alien. And as tall as he was, he fit perfect for the part. Here are the parts that we get for stage 35. So this is another one of these large pieces for the neck area. This is a plastic piece. This is a nice metal panel right here. See the paint job that they did on that. And some more of the escape hatches. I already put the Mike Lane mod stickers on these. Of course, more windows, BM screws, BP screws, DP screws, EM screws, and some LEDs. Now, at this stage in the build, I think we all know how these panels go together. You know, you put them in, you put the windows in here, you put the escape pods in here, then you put the reflector piece on and the LEDs on. So I'm going to start skipping that part of the build just to kind of, move things along on these videos, because I think we all know how those go together at this point anyway. All right, let's get started on the build. Okay, so now looking at the neck here, I was looking ahead on the instructions. So they want you to go ahead and start putting the switch onto this piece right here. So here's the switch. But the thing is the wire is really short to the PC board over here. So if you connect this now, you're going to have to keep worrying about pulling on this while you're trying to attach the panel right here. They really should have had you put this panel on and the lights first, and then put the switch on just before you put this piece over here like this. So rather than keep stressing out the wires and pulling on that, we're going to go ahead and put the panel on, but we're going to do that in a stage 36. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the metal panel. All right, so we're moving on now to the metal panel. Now things are going to get a little mixed up here, in the way that I'm doing this, only because of that issue everybody was having with the saucer. So I already put the windows in. I already put the escape pods in. Now we're going to use this panel. This is from stage 33. It was so long ago, I don't even remember putting this together. So this is going to go right here, and it's going to cover, let's see, it's going to cover these windows. So I got to put this, I got to match these holes up. See, which way does this go? It's going to go right here. So it's going to match up those holes right there. And then the lights that we have here, we're going to put these, this is the one that came with this stage. We're going to put those right in here. And then 2 EM screws are going to hold this in place. So let me get all that assembled. Okay, so here it is, all assembled now. So, these screws are a little tricky whenever you're putting these on. You got to worry about how tight to put them in. I mean, you want them tight enough that they're going to hold the LEDs in and everything's good and solid and the panels are straight, but you don't want them too tight to where you're stripping stuff out. So this whole time I've been it's a little tricky, especially in the plastic parts. The metal, can handle it. All right, now normally at this point, we'd be installing this on the saucer, but as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we're going to do that part in stage 42. So I'm just going to keep this off to the side for now and make sure I don't lose these little escape hatches. So we're going to move on now to stage 36. These are the parts that we get for stage 36. More windows, of course. Another panel. This is another nice metal one. I really love that paint job. That looks so cool. Yes, there's some tape here. These are the kind of windows I wish the whole model had. This is going to go on the next section. A couple more wires of LEDs, the reflector, some DM screws, BM screws, AP screws, and this is the little beacon that's going to go in the neck. Like we did the red one, this is now the green one. All right, so let's get started on the neck. All right, so we are looking at the neck piece here. Now this is interesting. There's this little piece right here, and it's actually some black windows. They already glued it in place. I just happened to notice that. So it's kind of cool how they did that. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take the window piece here, and we're going to put it right on this spot, like this. And then we're going to take one of the light strands that we got on this one, put this LED right in here, and this one is going to go in here, like this. And then 2 AP screws are going to hold this whole assembly together. So let me go ahead and get that done. All right, so there it is, once that's all installed. So the next step now is we're going to take another one of these pieces of tape right here, and that's going to block, I'm guessing it's to block the light, like a light leak kind of thing. So let me see if I can get one of these off of here. And there we go. So this is going to cover this LED, because just like on the other side, it sticks out a little bit right there. You can kind of see that. So we're just going to put that right on top to help keep the light from shining out of there. So we're just going to really burnish that on like this. And there we go. All right, so just want to make sure it's right up against the wire there. All right, so now the next step is we're going to bring the neck back in here. And if you'll recall, there's one, see that right there? There's one socket left open, and that is where these lights are going to go. So let me go ahead now. Let's see, should I go ahead and put the switch on at this point? No, you know what? I think I'll go ahead and plug this in. Okay, so once again, you got to watch which way the wires go in here, or which way this plug-in goes because of those really tiny wires down inside there. So let me see, they're going this way. Got to put this in right in here. Now, sorry if there's not some good light going on in here. Let me see. It's going to be hard to show this without my hands getting in the way so much. So, well, let me go ahead and push this in, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so there it is in place there. So now at this point, I am going to go ahead and screw the switch in. So yeah, I think that was better to wait on that. So let me get that done. Okay, so there it is. Everything is now on. Switch has been fastened in there. I was kind of hoping this switch would be a little less visible. I don't know, I'm kind of wondering, you remember how these little phaser arrays back here were springy? I kind of wonder if the original intention for this was to have those as the switches, and then they ended up settling for this. So yeah, I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. So now the next thing we're going to do here is, this is the little light beacon that we had just like on the other side over here, on this end over this side. So now this one's green, and so it has the little sloped end on there that has to go down in this hole right here. So you just kind of place it in there like this. Okay. And then now this whole thing is going to go right in here. So let's smash all these wires in. Oh my gosh. And actually these LEDs have got to stick out because that comes in later. For the other part, there's another one in here somewhere. Here it is. Let me get these out of here. There's actually 3 there. Okay. So now this is going to go right onto this section here. I'll have to try to finagle the wires here a little bit. And then BP and AP screws are what's going to hold this panel on. So let me get that all put together. All right, everything is now in place there. It was a little tricky getting that on, I got to say. There's some little notches that have to go underneath this other piece. And you got to make sure you snap in everything. But once it's in there, it fits pretty snug. So now they want you to make sure you test the lighting. So let me kill the lights here real quick because I want to see what it looks like myself. So let me turn off the main lights here. Hopefully my camera can still focus on it. Okay, so let me flip this switch here. Okay, yeah, very good. So there we are. This side doesn't really have that many lit windows. And then there is the blinking green beacon right there. Let's see if the light leak is, yeah, it's just as bad on this side as the other side. I really hope that the saucer is going to cover that. But yeah, I tell you, this thing is full of light leaks. It's kind of crazy. All right, well, now we're going to work on the next panel, which is a metal panel. All right, moving on now. Here's the metal panel. I already put the windows in. There are no lifeboats or escape hatches on here. This panel, the reflector, is going to go right on here. And then with the light that we have, these last strand of lights, put those in this spot right here, and then some DM screws will hold this all together. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, so here it is, all in place. I got to say these DM screws are better because if you'll notice, see how they got kind of like, it's almost like there's a built-in washer around the edge. They seem to fit in better, and your chances of stripping those out is a lot less. I wish they used those more in this build. But here's everything all put together. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take one of these transporter emitter thingamajiggers, and we are going to put that right on here. So let me get this thing started here and peel this backing off. That one came off easier than most. Let's see, I don't think it matters which way this goes on because it's the same width all the way across. So let's go ahead and get that lined up. Put it right in there. Okay, press it in place. Okay, very good. All right, those look nice. I really like those. All right, so now we're going to test the lights. All right, so here it is connected to the battery box. You can see the lights right there and the lights right here. Yeah, it still puzzles me how they will use two LEDs to light up just a few windows, when I think one probably could have done the trick if they were more in the middle. I don't know, maybe not. Just to minimize how many LEDs are in this thing. All right, so I think that completes stage 36, so we are now moving on to 37. These are the parts that we get for stage 37. A lot of windows on this one. This is the side of the neck. Another great paint job there. This is another plastic panel. The reflector for that panel. A set of lights. Some BP screws, DP screws, and some more of the escape pods. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this put together with the windows and the reflector and all that, and I'll show you what it looks like when that's done. All right, so here is the panel all put together. There was a lot of windows in this one, and we're testing out the lights, and as you can see, they look just fine. Now we're actually going to put this on the saucer, so let's get that done. All right, so we're looking back at the saucer now. We can actually start putting some panels on, well, at least this one anyway. So this one's going to go right in here, but we do have this loose LED from earlier. And this has got to go in, let's see how, now I know they had us tuck it under here. So this one has got to go in this slot right here. So let me see if we can get this in here. Slide this one in. And hopefully it goes in all the way. Yeah, I think it's got to go in a little bit further. Yeah, see, that's not in all the way. Let me see if I can separate that just a little bit. Oh, there we go. Perfect, perfect. All right, so now this is going to go right in here. Try not to pull this LED back out. This is going to go right on here and match in right up to these holes, and two DP screws are going to hold that in. So let me get that done. All right, so this is now in place. You know, earlier they told you to put this wire through here, but actually it needs to go through right there in order for those to go in there. I forgot, you know, since I haven't worked on this in a while, I forgot how you have to really smash the wires together. But that's on there nice and good. All right, so now we're moving on to stage 38. These are the parts that we get for stage 38. Some more escape hatches, tons more windows, another panel piece, another plastic one, and the reflector, another strand of lights. This is for the neck, and some DP screws and some BP screws, and it looks like we might be tidying up some wires. So that'll be great. All right, let's see. Actually, we're going to go and do this panel. I'm going to go ahead and put all the windows and the lifeboats and the reflector and the light in there, and I'll show you what that looks like once it's all done. All right, so here this panel is all done now, and testing the lighting, everything works great. So this is going to get attached to the saucer as well, so let's get that done. Okay, so back to the saucer now. We're going to put this panel next to the one that we just did. So this wire is going to go underneath this and through here, I think. Yes, and then the yellow one gets put through this right here. Okay. Now, let's see, this LED's got to go in this slot right here. So let's see if we can get it in here. Once again, we have to separate this a little bit to make it fit. There we go. All right. This is going to go right in here. And, gosh, I really hate how those wires get mushed. All right, so now this is going to go right on here, and it looks like we're going to be fastening these with some DP screws. So let me get that put on, and we'll see what it looks like. Yeah, okay, so now that is in place. So we can actually start plugging these wires into the board. Now there's these two empty sockets right here. that we're going to put those in. So let me see here. I don't think it really matters which one's going where, but they say this one goes in this top one here. So once again, we're going to make sure we have this plug facing the right way, because those holes are one-sided and the pins are as well. So let's see if I can get this pushed in right here. And there we go. And then let's see, where's the other one? Right here. So this one has got to go into that last spot. So we'll put that right in here. Wow, is that going to reach? I don't know. That's pretty. That just barely reaches right there. That's pretty short. Yeah, let me see. Hopefully I can get this in here. It's kind of odd. Okay. Let's get that plugged in like so. All right, so now we are going to tidy up these wires. Okay, so I went ahead and tidied up this mess right in here. It's kind of tricky trying to figure out which wires to put on here. I think I probably should have put these under these, but I guess it's okay. This wire that I was mentioning earlier is kind of short, the one that goes right here. So it goes out here down to one of these lights, or this one here. But it's long enough. I mean, it stays in and everything. All right, so now we are going to take another panel. Now, this one here was from way back to stage 29. And so this is another end piece here. So now let's figure out how the wires go through here. Let's take a look. Looks like it's gonna go through this right here, and including the yellow and white wired LED here. And let's see, I think this one now goes through this right here, and it goes into this little slot like that. Doesn't fit very tight. Hopefully once we screw this on, that'll fit a little better. Not a very deep pocket for that to sit in. Okay, so now this is going to go right in here. Let me make sure. The fun part about this model is that what one part of the directions tell you to do, the next one tells you to do something totally different. It's just great. All right, so these are going to go in place here, and some DP screws will hold that in place, so let me get that put on. All right, so that is now in place. So the next panel is another one that we built a while back. I think this was from stage 30. This is U316. All right, so once again, lacing these wires through. Let me figure this out. So we're going to go through this like this. Okay, and we'll bring this one through. And then, let me see, how do we put this back through here? Looks like it goes under both of these, like this. And let's see, that's going to go right in here into this little pocket. Let me see, I probably have to separate this a little bit more. All right, let's see if we can get this in here like this. It's kind of a deep pocket that goes in. Okay, let me see. All right, well, let me get this put in here. And then once it is, we're going to fasten this on right in here. And those are going to use 2 DP screws, so let me get that put on. Okay, so that panel is now in place. We're getting quite a bit put onto this on the edge there. So yeah, more work done on the saucer, which is always good. The last thing we're supposed to do now is we just take the window piece right here, and we just take the clear piece and put it in here. And we're going to fasten this on more permanently in the next stages. So anyway, so that's it for that part. So there we go. That completes stages 35, 36, 37, and 38. So finally, it feels good to get back to work on this thing after I almost gave up on it. Really glad to get some parts now. I do have a backlog of parts like I showed you, so I'm going to immediately get started on part 11 of this build, and we'll do 39, 40, 41, 42. Look out for that video in about, I'd say 3 days. I try to do videos every 3 days, and so we can get back to work on it. And that will contain stage 42, so we'll be able to finish up this area back over here. Well, anyway, thank you all for hanging in there during this long break, and I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe if you'd like. I'd really appreciate that. So thank you so much. I'll see you on the next video, and have a good one.